Well, ladies and gentlemen, the strike is over, apparently. Allegedly. It's not 100%, it's like pre-confirmed. They've got to put it to everyone, the whole deal, I think it was on Friday or something along those lines, but it's basically tentatively reached. Strike is over, SAG-AFTRA and studios reach tentative deal on new 3-year contract. I'll be really intrigued to see when, the entire deal comes out, actually, just to see whether it is a good deal. Because the WGA did not get a really good deal. They just kicked the can down the road. Some of it's good, don't get me wrong, but by and large, not really. They've actually removed a whole bunch of the stuff which it's good for audiences, but they removed a whole bunch of stuff that was good for the industry in terms of just randomly hiring loads of people. So I'll be intrigued to see what SAG gets, because naturally it's in their best interest to frame it as a win. Obviously. But Deadline has this article, and they say after 118 days of the Actors Guild being out on strike, SAG-AFTRA and the studios on Wednesday reached a tentative deal on a new contract that could see Hollywood up and running again within weeks. So the strike will be over as of 12:01 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, November 9th. We hear, putting an end to more than 7 months of labour unrest in Hollywood that saw the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA hit the picket lines in the industry's first joint strike in more than 60 years. So culminating in a dramatic day of studio earnings results and deadline ultimatums, the Actors Guild's 17-member negotiating committee unanimously voted this afternoon to recommend a tentative agreement. I mean, that's pretty crazy, unanimous vote. Not bad. I'd imagine they probably have to get unanimous votes. Specific details of the deal are expected to be revealed when the agreement goes to the board Friday. But they also say this, coming just less than a month after the Writers Guild members overwhelmingly ratified their own agreement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. SAG-AFTRA's deal is the culmination of the latest round of renewed negotiations that began October 24th, indicating the seriousness and the stakes of the negotiations. Yeah, I mean, sure, fine. So the tentative agreement follows the studios responding last Friday to the Guild's last comprehensive counter with a self-described historic package. This is what I mean, they're pretty big words. It'll be very interesting to see. That was succeeded less than 24 hours later by an expanded group of studio leaders, including execs from Paramount, Amazon, Apple, and more, joining the gang of 4 to brief SAG-AFTRA on the AMTP, TPPP, whatever's offer, which was said to include a big gains in wages and bonuses, as well as sweeping AI protections. And that's been the point of contention, has always been AI. And I get that, actually. I get that as a point of contention. I'm not going to mindlessly hate, I understand that. Now, we didn't come toward you, we came all the way to you. It's a pretty big talk from Sarandis. Told guild leaders Saturday before SAG-AFTRA's brass began digging into the fine print. Further talks between the two sides began earlier this week as the guild pored over the studio's latest sets of proposals. So, after talks throughout the week, AMPTP, PPPPP told SAG-AFTRA midday yesterday, that it needed to know if a deal was possible or not by 5 p.m, saying it was running out of time to save the broadcast season and the 2024 summer movie slate, which is true, to be fair. The agreement was confirmed about a half hour later. Yeah. So if all goes as planned, and the board sign off on the tentative deal, eligible members of the 160,000 strong Actors Guild will vote soon to ratify the new agreement. Also, with SAG-AFTRA pulling the plug on the strike just after midnight and before the ratification vote is completed, people could be back to work soon and production restarted quickly. So, exposing many of the shifts and divisions in the industry over the past decade, today's tentative agreement comes at the end of a long road filled with diversions, and potholes. Well, the divisions probably correct as well. So overall, the 6 months of Hollywood strikes is estimated to have cost the Southern California economy more than $6.5 billion in 6 months. That is staggering. And 45,000 entertainment industry jobs after production ground to a halt. So I don't know if they're trying to say that 45,000 jobs are now just gone. Because if so, that's really bad. And I do wonder whether there'll be anything that's done for the sort of day players that, are affected by all of this. Because you've got to remember, right? Well, a lot of people haven't remembered this, but you do need to remember it. Is that there's a lot of people that work in Hollywood that have now decided to go elsewhere in the world to work that weren't in unions that were striking. A lot of camera operators, a lot of grips, a lot of best boys, all a host of extra jobs that are now elsewhere in the world. So I do wonder how quickly they will be able to get off the ground again. Because there'll be people going, yeah, you just struck and couldn't give a shit about my job, so no, I'm not going to come back from East Asia. You're alright for a bit, mate. Maybe later. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thought on that. But yeah, 45,000 entertainment jobs are gone after production ground to a halt, with the WGA hitting the picket lines in early May, and then SAG-AFTRA followed mid-July. On an individual level, the labour action garnered passionate unity among guild members. At the same time, a fact not lost on the studios and their strategy, many guild members have suffered crippling financial hardship. More so by the people that were outside of this actually, as have below the line workers go months without work, which really sucks. I think a lot of people probably gone into different industries as well. You can't go 6 months without work. You'd be fucked. So after calling the strike July 14th, it took the guild and the studio CEO's gang of 4 around 80 days before their first official face-to-face talks. It's just going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But we had this statement anyway. It said, last night they introduced a levy on subscribers on top of other areas. Saranda said the next day. This is an industry conference, sorry. Calling the proposal a bridge too far, blaming the guild for the talks ending. They say, bully tactics, blah, blah, blah. I'd be fascinated to see, because a lot of what's good coming from these, they're going to have to release actual numbers. So Netflix stated in its Q3 earnings report that talks were ongoing, and Saranda said the guild really broke our momentum towards a deal. Crabtree Island called BS. The best way to reach a deal and end this strike is for him and the other CEOs to end their walkout from the bargaining table and resume negotiations. But yeah, it's just been this long, and there's so much to go into. This is not really that's not the point of the video anyway, but it is fascinating to see. And then you have this. The studios and SAG-AFTRA intend to ride a wave of the WGA deal to set meetings within a week or so on their own talks. However, as the goodwill of the WGA's successful negotiations faded into bitter public call-outs from leaders on both sides, many feared, even with a new round of talks, that the actors' strike could last well into the holidays, ruining any chance of a partial broadcast network season. And that's all done. So they're done. I mean, I actually don't think it's going to get started as quickly as people are thinking it is, because there's a whole host of people that are just wrecked in the industry. They're not even in the industry anymore. They're done. And I think to myself, like, these people are never coming back. So you can't get them. You can't replace them. They're gone. And those others that are still in the industry, are potentially not even in the country anymore. Because they were like, well, I'm just going to get work elsewhere. Because they weren't part of the strike. So I'll be fascinated to see what happens about this. But the strike is over. Hollywood can breathe again. It's now no longer on fire. Still kind of is, though. Because, profits are down the drain.